Hello and welcome to a brand new Player 2 Plays. My name is Paul James and today we are playing Moonlighter, a game that released not that long ago for consoles and I took quite a liking to. I messed around with it for, I basically binge played it over about 2 days and went through the entire thing. And it's kind of roguelite-y, there's plenty of RPG systems in play, but still very action-centric. There's lots of cool things this game's doing. And I'm basically spotlighting it with you today because it's one that I really believe in and I think it's one that more people need to try out. Now, we are booting up my post-game story here. Conveniently enough, it picks up on the 17th of Feb, which you just saw there. That's my birthday. And I've actually been there, like I said, I've been there and done that and finished the game. Now, what you as the main character are doing is you're kind of juggling two little lives here. You're diving into these little dungeons and exploring the contents of all of those. But you're also running a shop, and the shop allows you to bring money in, which you can then commit to resources which can help power you up and continue your journey. Now, there's 4 different little temple things that you explore before eventually you open up that pathway to the very to the north there. That takes you towards essentially the final run towards the final boss, which we won't be exploring today. And I'll throw you into one of these random levels. We might try the one on the far right here. And I can just kind of show you through the loop that we go through with this game. Now, it's about resource management, it's about survival, it's all the things you kind of come to expect from a roguelike or roguelite game here. But the visual style is fantastic. The sense of humour is pretty much on the money consistently. Everything is just done really, really well. And as a result, again, I wanted to show you the game today. So we're in the forest dungeon here. Most things, like, it's pretty simple. Like, I've forgotten some. That was my shield. You can choose a range of different weapons, so I've got the sword and shield option, but there's two-handed weapons, there's a ranged approach, there's a whole bunch of different things there. But the thing I need to always manage is my inventory space. Now, that's all I've got available to me, and I've had less. But essentially, I've got to manage all these different little items that I'm going to collect a lot of them as I go through here, toss out some, keep others, and attempt to survive. All the dungeons are randomly generated or procedurally generated, so who knows what you're going to see each time you come in here. Now, I'm probably a little overpowered for this particular region, so I'm kind of taking the enemies out fairly easily. But as I make my way through, so there's different artifacts that I can pick up here, and these two are both interesting test cases here, I can only put them in specific spots. These ones here, so I can only put this one at the top or the bottom. This one I can only place down the side. I can quick move them there and then kind of tweak them later as I start to get more stuff that I need to manage. You can roll over those ditches, but running across them is going to see you dying. I'll come back to that soon because that'll take me to the next stage of this dungeon. So we'll explore a different pathway, because I just happened upon that very quickly. I might pick a dungeon that's a little bit more suited to my level shortly, but you can still see I'm accumulating gear. The chests don't open unless everything has been ticked off. We can see there's a few more conditions about these ones, so it destroys one artifact in the direction shown upon returning to town, so I can place it in there safely for now, but it can't guarantee the safety of whatever item it's facing by the time we get back. Whereas these two remain hidden until we get out of there. So you can now see that, that the fluid vessel is going to destroy these venomous spores when we return. I could then take that and maybe place it here. Now it's pointed towards nothing and nothing's going to get destroyed. So you can manage those resources and not lose everything. Nothing else to see in this little room here. I am again quite overpowered, so I might try and pick a more challenging one afterwards. I didn't think I'd quite handle it as easily as I am. Oh. Now you do have a shield. You can see that I've got 3 little shields there at the top. Well, now only 2. I had 3. That hit initially just exhausted one of those, but then the orange bar in the top left corner there, my shield, I'd call it shield, we'll keep calling it shield, that can then deplete as time progresses. This is a nothing room, there's little things to discover here, story context, I won't be diving into those. There's one of those in every floor of every dungeon. Oh, hang on, what am I doing? So my real strategy throughout my time with the game was focus on evasion and just dodge my way through these scenarios, as opposed to using the shield. That worked at times, it didn't in others. But it's totally a horses for courses sort of thing. Now all the resources you can collect, you bring back to town, you can sell them, you can use others to craft other bits and pieces. It's very much up to you how you want to do it, but you are going to have to spend a lot of time selling gear to ensure that you've got a clear inventory that allows you to do more. There's no perk to me wandering through this whatsoever because my health is still full, but it restores your health if need be. You can see, mapped to the triangle button in the top right corner, you can see my bag is starting to get quite full now. So I'm probably going to have to start managing that shortly. But I'll head into the second level. Let's go south to start off with. Now, particular items you can carry more than one of per each inventory slot. As you can see with my potions there at the top, these life fluids, and a whole bunch more. There's plenty there that you can stack. There's others that can't. If you've got an item, I don't have any scenarios of this at the moment, but say I find fluid vessels that aren't corrupted in some way, that don't have some sort of catch attached to them, I suppose. I can't get those two together. They will be separate unless I then use a different curse on a different artifact to undo that one, and then as a result they can get bundled together. So there's a few things you can kind of stack, and if you manipulate things right, you can create extra room, you can stack things together, but it requires some smart play. And a bit of forethought as to what you might want to achieve out of another one. 18 out of 20. Oh. You can dodge roll through, I'll just progress to the next level, I think we're getting a bit of the idea at the moment. You can dodge roll through attacks, you've got to be very careful, you've got to get your timing spot on, but you can do it, which is handy in a pinch. And we're in level 3. Ah. Those guys are the one enemy type in the entire game that I just struggle with. Like getting the timing right, they launch at you out of nowhere. I won't quite go as far as say out of nowhere. You can see I've now got no room left. But you can see that the curse on a few of these items, and some of them aren't necessarily cursed, some you might consider to be a bit of a blessing. It immediately sends a particular artifact to town. So I could ship off one of those things that's causing me a lot of grief at the moment. This one here. Destroys an artifact curse. So I could use that. Don't have anything really worthwhile, so I might use it on that one. The curse disappeared. Now it is just the ordinary pot or whatever. I still can't Oh, I've butchered that. Let's... Yeah, all of you come across, and now let's fix that up. I stuffed that up badly then. some of these, again, they'll send items home, so I might ship that one off, creates a bit of room, gets sent to a chest back at my shop. I probably don't need any more life fluid because I've already got 10 items there, so I can send it to this merchant mirror, which gets me a small amount of money for the item. Fertilizer, probably the same deal. There's no point leaving an item behind. You can still get money. You can see that popping up in the top left corner there. So the rich jelly, for example, which won't get me much at all. This is how I brew potions and whatnot. I'll drop it in there. I get $2 for it. Why aren't these grouping? I think I really butchered that one. Alright, I'm just going to toss something I don't want. None of this stuff I really need anyway. Alright, cool. Pressed the wrong button and I absolutely made a meal of it. So you can now see there's items that I can't collect because I'm over encumbered with overall and when it comes to that particular item. Hopefully there's something here that I can... See, if I have the right curses here, then I could potentially undo what's happened to the nutritive water here and then stack that on top. I don't think I'm going to have the means to in this particular case. So this is a great one. The botany jottings, firstly, are worth a fair bit of money. And then the curse that's on that one is that whatever's in that direction, in this case directly to the right, will become more botany jottings when I get back. So I would want to manipulate things. This item that I've got 10 of, let's put that there. Now that will become botany jottings when I get back, 10 of them, on top of the one that I've already got here. So all of a sudden I get a lot of money that I can quickly snap up thanks to that one little curse. Destroys the item. More botany jottings, artifact breaks. If I take too many hits, it's worth the risk. Let's get rid of the speed powder. The old bulb. See, I've got a few of those, but I can't undo the curse on anything. Ah. That's... Oh, hang on, what was that one? Becomes this? Don't care. Destroys the curse. Let's stack those. Now, having undone the curse, I can bundle these botany jottings together, and it frees up a bit of extra room. I'm still not going to be able to take everything here, but some of those more high value items I've now managed to fit into my inventory. And so it's that level of micromanagement that's really important to everything you do in this game to prolong your stay. At least these enemies, not all these enemies are dying in a single hit. Oh, nearly took a hit actually. Now, did you? I'm not sure if you did. If you didn't, rewind. But you might have just spotted a little sparkle there. So I'm going to drop down this hole, and it only sparkles that one time, so you've got to be eagle-eyed. But it gives me the opportunity to take this book, which is also, in this particular case, worth quite a bit. I'm going to take that, I'm going to replace it with the blade leaves, because I don't want them. They're worth next to nothing. And that's all totally random. You don't know what's going to happen. You get a bit of an indication when you go to those little kind of camps that we saw before. They talk about what things might be housed in this level or the next level or whatever. But otherwise, you've got no idea what's about to come your way. So it's always important to just kind of explore every little nook and cranny. And I hate them. I hate those guys. They're the one enemy that's really given me grief. The bosses I was able to to take down. Fairly easy overall. Like, you have to be on your toes, but they're not like ridiculously challenging. Oh, I'm not going to be able to deal with most of this. But it becomes this artifact, so I'll do that. Apply it there on the diagonal. So now these plant flesh will become more botany jottings. And I'm really starting to manipulate what the environment's throwing at me here, or what items and artifacts are being thrown at me. So here would spell out a little bit about what I might see within the level of the dungeon. So I guess north from here is the only option, I think. Ah, here we go, and I wasn't expecting this, but here's a special part of the dungeon where it gives you a little bit of a taste test as to what the next dungeon has. It's only very brief. Immediately sends artifact shown. And then move that back there. I don't need more bulbs. I'm getting fed up with the bulbs. Destroys the artifact's curse. Now I'm happy to work with a bulb, I guess. Let's get rid of this one here that's blocking up the left portion of the screen. Then we'll bundle those bulbs together. That there, the water, all these are more or less throwaway. They can stay there. But again, I've managed to take on a fair bit of the contents there. Alright, here we go. Again, I think this was the third dungeon, if memory serves. And I've gone through 4 and the final boss, so they're still fairly easy at this point. But it gives you a little taste test. There's a few items you can collect there, and maybe it allows you to craft that next piece of gear using the necessary items that you wouldn't have gotten until... Oh, I just went there. Until you went to the next dungeon. We've got the circle button here. That allows me to return to town on the spot. Now, my eyes must be painted on. I've not seen our exit. Ah, must be through to the left here. It's the only part of this dungeon we haven't come across. And there's another thing that you need to be alert for while you're playing this game. If you spend too much time in a dungeon, there is this giant slime creature that appears, and you'll know it because there's a little indicator that'll appear on the screen. We might just kind of drag our feet, and I'll keep talking to you, and we'll kind of keep messing around the world to see if he appears. We won't do it for too long, just for the sake of your enjoyment. But if he happens to find you, run. You can't beat it. Essentially, it's their way of stopping you from just dragging your feet and collecting every item, and you need to keep moving. Progression's really important. They want to keep the pace of the game going. Immediately sends an item shown to the shop. Let's apply that to one of these little mysterious goodies. We'll do the same here. Bundle these botany jottings together. We'll take that. Destroys one artifact curse. I might still bundle that there. Bring these back. Yeah, it'll kill you. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So, a couple of the items that you can see here, I'm highlighting one at the moment, the Merchant Emblem. That allows you to return to a spot in the dungeon. But if you manage yourself really well, you'll never have to use it. I can't say that I did. But it is handy in a bit of a pinch. If you want to jump straight to the last level of a dungeon, then feel free. And the pendant that allows you to return from the dungeon. That cost is not always 1600. it starts off nice and cheap, but as you progress through the game, things get more expensive, as does the cost of leaving a dungeon. But you can see that even 1600 at this point, and I'm endgame, it's pretty small out of the $2,213,504 that I've got. Now, our mate can't be too far away. So let's do one last little sweep of this place. Maybe he'll rock up, and if not, fine. He's an intimidating sight. He just kind of drifts in and out and follows you. There's nothing you can do to get away. He will track you down. He does take out other enemies along the way, so if you can kind of very carefully negotiate your way through the environment, then you can get through without being killed. But it's high risk, and the reward can be quite high if you want to take advantage of him and then skip into the next dungeon at the end, if you can kind of trace your way back to where you need to go. But I don't think I'll wait around for him any longer, because we'll all get bored both playing and watching. But again, just if you're playing through this, be alert that there is a big green slime entity that will rock up seemingly out of nowhere and will then just trail you around the entire dungeon until he's killed you. Now, this is the entrance to the boss room. I don't know if I can actually repeat the boss fight or whether that's it. No, I can't actually repeat the boss fight. This is the first time I've actually returned to a dungeon where I've, to the point where I've defeated a boss. So it allows me to return, which is nice, but I can't actually do anything in here. So we might now return to town, and I'll kind of show you through how those systems work once you get back. Shows you all the enemies you killed in the bottom right corner there, some of the chests that you opened. You can see in the bottom left corner it was starting to convert all my items into botany jottings and whatnot. It was applying the curses. Some were useless because of where I placed the item. Again, another thing you need to manage. But we're returning to town. And because we left through the day, it'll be nighttime, no one's going to come shopping, so I'm just going to go to sleep as soon as we get back, then wake up the next morning. But what I found was the best thing to do was go out adventuring at night, return, it's morning, and then you can sell all your items. So we'll head in, get some shut-eye. The 18th of Feb. We've got a chest here with some items in it. These are a lot of all the different jellies that I can use to create more potions. Not that I needed to use any there. When our items got sent home before, they're starting to land in these chests. So there's 5 of them. So you can accumulate quite a bit of stuff, which is fantastic. But yeah, so we'll start to sell all these items. Now, you can, if you wish, and I'll talk to her. This is your little sales assistant, essentially. She will offer to sell the items for you, but she will take a cut of that. It allows you to then go to the dungeons, as she's saying just there. But personally, I don't see the... Again, this is another thing I just didn't take advantage of, because I could sell through the day, go out into the dungeons by night, and just continue that cycle. So I never bothered. But I can place my different items, so all my different botany jottings, I just drop them in here. I've already got prices that I've determined. You will need to spend a little bit of time working out what is the best rate for the different items that you're trying to sell. And that's just part of really being a shopkeeper, you know, working out what the optimal price is that people will pay, and I've managed to do that in most cases. So I can just automatically just drop them in there, and once I've done that, I'll open the shop for the day. Don't know why I'm even bothering with those, but... Oh, we've got a couple more spots by the door. The glass cage is up the back there. I've always been a bit iffy about. I feel like customers come in and they don't actually ever buy anything from there, which drives me up the wall. They just kind of stand, they wander around, they do nothing else, and alright, let's open up the shop. People do come in and try and steal from you, so you need to keep an eye out for that. But because I've identified what the optimal price is, no one will refuse to buy anything. So they'll just wander up to the counter with their item, and I'll sell to them. Customers, if they're left waiting, will just take off. So it's important that whilst you might be trying to keep half an eye out for potential thieves, you also need to make sure that you're tending to your customers, because they may not be prepared to wait. Now that person left without buying anything because they were after armor specifically, and I didn't have any to sell. You can see them walking in the bottom again. Another person, they'll be after armor, and there's just nothing that I can offer them. I wonder if someone will try and rob me in this time. There's no one here that... Oh, maybe this big guy in the suit of armor at the top's a thief? But essentially, if someone does try and steal, you need to run at them really quickly and do your little dodge roll. And you just crash into them and you see this big tuft of smoke and like a bit of fisticuffs are going on, and then it's on for young and old, but you will always win and you get what you need. I'm going to have to set out some more items though, just to try and... Oh. I don't care what I'll sell them for. There we go. Yeah, there aren't any thieves in here at the moment. I know what they look like. So I'll quickly try and scoop anything up. Let me just take all of these. There's nothing in there. I'll just throw all them out in the hopes that maybe one of our brazen thieves will rock up and try and take something from us. Yeah, so that person, their eyes lit up because whatever I value those eyes at was too little. So it's a massive sale, bargain for them. They want it, that's it, great. The opposite can occur where the price is too steep, they kind of laugh at it and they just walk out. So you kind of learn through a bit of trial and error. Oh, this person's trying to give me a little quest. So I've got 3 days, I get $24,000 for it, and if I kill 10 of these blade tree sprouts, which you saw me killing in that last dungeon, then I will get the 10 notes, which is what the person's after, and I'll get the reward. No. Now, I'm a particular fan of the guy in the bottom right corner here. He looks like Auron from Final Fantasy X, which I think is fantastic. Come on, guys. Where's the thief? Oh. Never keep the customer waiting. No thieves, and I don't think, unless everyone just ignores that item at the top there, then I suspect we're not going to have a thief rock up and try and steal anything. Sometimes you'll get one per day when you're trying to sell, others you'll get 3 or 4, and you've got to be really on your toes, and then you get scenarios like this one where no one rocked up and tried to steal anything from me. Maybe they've learnt their lesson because they've had their heads caved in on a few occasions. But that is business for the day. I have run out of stock to sell, so I'll close the shop. Everyone disappears. It gives me a rundown of all that I sold. You can see the little queue at the top there talking about thieves. We had none. No one rocked up, so there was nothing stolen, and I made a total of $268,592, which is ridiculous, but you don't make that much money early on. the items you find in the later dungeons are worth more than the stuff early game, and it's natural currency thing. You're all familiar with it. You've played video games before. You can then take the money that you've earned. You can go and speak to the guy at the forge here and craft a whole bunch of different gear. And you can see that there's different requirements there. So whether it's just different items, or then if I continued down this tree, it would require the previous type of sword, the previous big sword in this case, as well as some crafting items to then get the next thing. So you're not necessarily trying to sell every single item in your possession. You need to manage that appropriately to ensure that you still have the resources you need in order to build the gear you need, whether it's swords and shields, whether it's spears, gloves, bows, or your armor. There's a lot of different types there that some of them mean you lose a bit of speed. You can see that in the right corner, the right side of the screen there, where it talks about the perks it gives to your health, but you lose speed. Some things are really balanced. It's really designed to allow for you, no matter how you play, to succeed and have the necessary gear there for you to progress in your preferred way. There's a few other people in town. That girl here, she is one of the thieves, and actually he's one of the thieves as well. I've learnt their faces over the journey. There is someone that sets up here in the bottom right corner that there's a little shop there through the day. He's not there right now. We've got another shop over here where I can create potions using all the different jellies that you would have seen before. Or you can just spend money if you don't have those jellies, or there's some different enchantments there that you can. Now I've applied all to my armor and my swords and shields, so there's nothing listed there, but I can power them up as well, create some little buffs that make my combat experience a little bit easier. And there's another guy up here that also has special items that he can sell as well. The markup is quite steep, so don't go anywhere near it. But that is a day in the life of Moonlighter, I guess. You've seen the day cycle, the night cycle, what it's like in the dungeons, what it's like in the shop and around town. So you've kind of got this game in a bit of a nutshell. Now if you've enjoyed it, please consider picking it up. You can get it on PS4, Xbox One, I believe it might be on Switch, or it might be on the way to Switch. It's certainly on PC. And I'm sure there's going to be some fairly decent discounts over the journey. I really, really fancy this game. It was more or less a 2-day binge kind of powering through it, and enjoyed every moment of it, despite the fact that the loop can be quite repetitive. There's a lot of challenge to that loop. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, sharing and subscribing to the channel. That'll allow you access to videos such as this, such as Patched, the late game review, the Insider and much more. Visit the website player2.net.au, where you'll find reviews, previews, opinion pieces, news, features, the Player 2 Writers Draft, and heaps more as well, all contributed by some of the best talent in Australia. We've got some awesome people at Player 2, so go and check out their work. We're also on Patreon, patreon.com/player2au. Consider kicking in a few dollars. At the lower tiers, you'll get early access to episodes such as this, or Patched, or the Insider, and at the higher tiers, you'll get an exclusive of Patched or the Insider, and access on the ability to join us in the monthly Player 2 podcast. We'd love to hear what you've got to say, so please come along, consider kicking a few dollars, and you're helping the Player 2 dream to grow. For ongoing updates, you can find me at PaulJamesB2 on Twitter, and the website you'll find at Player2AU on Twitter. Until next time, that was Moonlighter. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.